The Bellflower City Council is reconvening after closed session. There were no reportable actions. Call this meeting to order. This is a regular meeting of the Bellflower City Council. It's Monday, June 14th, 2021 at 7:05 in the evening. Before we begin, please note that all public meetings will be recorded. When a participant logs in via their computer or calls in to join the meeting, their name and/or phone number will be visible to all participants. Unless you are providing public comment, your audio will be muted and your video will be disabled. Persons wishing to be audience members to the meeting may do so anonymously. Anonymous participants, however, will not be recognized for public comment. Persons who seek to bypass the city's host controls will be dropped and blocked from the meeting. Thank you for your cooperation. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Hamada.
Here.
Councilmember Sanchez.
Here.
Councilmember Santinas.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Dutton.
Here.
Mayor Coops.
Here. So we'll begin with our city council announcements, and I'll do the first one here. In response to community concern over the increased use of illegal fireworks, Bellflower Sheriff and Public Safety personnel have adopted a new enforcement strategy that will be deployed this year. If illegal fireworks are observed from a residential property by these personnel and the persons lighting them cannot be identified, the property owner may receive a $2,000 administrative citation in the mail and be responsible for the payment. If you have any other questions or concerns about firework enforcement in the city of Bellflower, please call the Bellflower Sheriff's Substation at 562-925-0124. Now we'll have Mayor Pro Tem Ray Dutton give his report.
Thank you, Mayor. The city of Bellflower is excited to announce the return of the Street Summer Fest concerts. The first concert is scheduled for Thursday, June 24th at 6:30 p.m. All concerts will begin promptly at 6:30 and end at 8:30 p.m. Advanced ticket reservations are required for entry and can be purchased on the World Wide Web tinyurl.com/BLF Street Fest. For more information, please call the Parks and Recreation Department at 562-804-1424 at extension 2261. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Dutton. Councilmember Victor Sanchez, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Bellflower. The Bellflower Chamber of Commerce invites businesses, service clubs, and the community to join their monthly morning mingle, which will take place on Tuesday, June 29th from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. For more information, please call the Bellflower Chamber of Commerce at 562-867-1744. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Sanchez. Councilmember Sonny Santinas.
First of all, happy Flag Day, everyone. The city of Bellflower has begun our redistricting process. The redistricting process occurs every 10 years following the release of the census results. It is an opportunity to redraw district lines based on population changes indicated in the census at the state, county, and city levels. Residents can submit maps of their own and get involved in the process. For more information, you can visit our redistricting website at www.drawbellflower.org or email redistricting@bellflower.org. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Santinas. Councilmember Raymond Hamada.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, first off, good evening, Bellflower. The Bellflower Parks and Recreation Department presents Bellflower's Night at the Drive-In. The movie Jumanji: The Next Level will be showing this Friday, June 18th at 8:30 p.m. at Sims Park. Registration is limited, so be sure to register soon at apm.activecommunities.com/Bellflower Recreation. For more information, call 562-804-1424, extension 2261. And at this time, we'd also like to thank Let's see, County Supervisor Janice Hahn for her sponsorship of this event. Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Hamada. At this time, we're going to have a presentation, and it has to do with LGBTQ month, Pride Month. So I have something I'd like to read on that behalf. Whereas the city of Bellflower prides itself on being a community that celebrates diversity and strives towards inclusion, whereas the Bellflower City Council has affirmed the council welcomes and values all of our diverse community members, regardless of where they are from, who they love, where they worship, how they look, their gender identity, their abilities, their economic status, or how they vote, inviting the entire Bellflower community to join together in creating a safe and welcoming city, one in which we celebrate our differences and learn from each other, one in which we are proud to raise our children, and whereas the city of Bellflower has a diverse lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, questioning plus community and is committed to supporting visibly in dignity and with equity for all people in the community, and June has become a symbolic month in which the LGBTQ community and supporters come together in various celebrations of pride, whereas Bellflower is celebrating and joining with other cities across the United States to recognize and celebrate June as LGBTQ Pride Month. Now, therefore, I, Dan Coops, Mayor of the City of Bellflower, do hereby proclaim June as LGBTQ Pride Month. The City of Bellflower urges all residents to respect and honor our diverse community and celebrate and build a culture of inclusiveness and of acceptance. Signed by myself, Mayor Dan Coops, Mayor Pro Tem Ray Dunton, Councilmember Raymond Y. Hamada, Councilmember Victor A. Sanchez, and Councilmember Sonny R. Santo Inez. And here, if you're looking on television, this is what I just read from. This is the presentation we'll be making on behalf of the LGBTQ community to make sure that you know and recognize that you're part of Bellflower and we're proud of it. Public comments, Mr. Stewart.
This is the time set aside for the public to address the city council on matters not listed on the agenda. Those wishing to speak on an agenda item must utilize one of the methods listed on page 2 of the agenda. You will be given 3 minutes to address the city council. Attempts to provide comment at times not designated on the agenda may result in the city dropping you from the meeting.
If you'd like to speak, please use the raised hand feature. If by computer, it appears under the Participants tab. Or if by phone app, it will appear under the More button at the bottom right-hand corner. Or if by telephone, press the number 6 to raise your hand. You will be called upon in the order received. You can then unmute your microphone so that you can provide your comments. So, Madam City Clerk, if you have anyone you'd like to bring forward, we're ready.
Yes, I have a few raised hands. The first one is for Larry Wehage. I've got the timer up. If you see it on the screen, you may go ahead and begin.
Thank you very much. Hello, City Council. I just want to take a moment to mention that the car show is coming back. We are scheduled right now for September the 25th. That is a Saturday from 2 p.m. until 7 p.m. It will take place on Bellflower Boulevard from Flora Vista to Walnut Street. The entire block from Maple to Walnut is gone. That is, so I'm running out of spaces at the south end. I do have spaces at the north end. And if anybody would like to participate as a vendor or as a person that wants to show their car off, can go to Bellflower Car Show and follow the information that is there. If they want to contact me, my number is 562-331-9265. And I thank you very much for your time.
That's welcome news, Larry, that we missed it last year and everyone's looking forward to it this year. So I'm hoping everything comes together and you get all the participation, all the vendors that you've been used to come back and make our Bellflower Boulevard welcome again. So thank you for your advertisement.
Thank you.
Ready for the next participant?
Okay, next we have Cheryl W. If you can go ahead and identify yourself prior to public comment.
Cheryl Williams.
Okay. You may begin.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and City Council members. I would like to thank you for hosting and putting together the event the other day where we could get our numbers etched onto our catalytic converters. I know it's been a big problem. I get Ring neighborhood alerts, and time after time, people are having their catalytic converters stolen. And I really appreciate being able to have a number etched onto mine and my fiance's, his brothers, several of my friends took advantage of it. So I want to thank you and the Sheriff Department for making that possible.
Well, thank you, Cheryl. We're glad we could help.
Thank you.
Next, I have a raised hand for Priscilla Brown.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. This is Priscilla Brown. I just wanted to, I know it's not a question and answer time, but if one of you maybe could get back to me and let me know if there were any fines incurred or anything for the situation over at Green Wolf, I would appreciate that. Also, I just kind of wanted to mention, I know this has been stretched out a few weeks, and I just wanted to speak at a time that my husband wasn't speaking, because we were kind of bunched together as the couple and the Browns, and he said things which he apologized for, and I know those weren't proper things, but using the same word that someone else used, I kind of got lambasted for things I didn't say that evening. So just kind of wanted to bring that forward. I didn't say that you weren't doing anything. If you'll go back and listen, I didn't say that at all. But anyway, just kind of felt like I got included, you know, with the comments that he said, and I didn't say any of that. But anyway, and I do see now that there's also another cannabis issue with the taxes. So I won't waste 3 minutes more of your time. I know the decision's probably been made on that, and I'm sure the cannabis spokesman will speak tonight, and I'm sure he will be given far more than 3 minutes to speak. But anyway, I thank you for your time. Have a good evening.
Mayor, I'm not seeing any further raised hands at this time.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk. So we'll move on with our agenda here. Mr. Stewart, public hearing.
This is consideration of possible action to conduct a public hearing to consider adopting Resolution 21-35, a resolution temporarily suspending a portion of the scheduled cannabis tax rate increase effective July 1, 2021 for the dispensary and retail use pursuant to Bellflower Municipal Code. I think Mr. Seitz here has a brief staff report on this issue, and he'll walk you through it.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Stewart. Madam City Clerk, can you please allow me to share my screen? All right, so good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. The city is conducting a public hearing to consider adopting Resolution number 21-35, a resolution temporarily suspending a portion of the scheduled cannabis tax rate increase effective July 1, 2021 for the dispensary and retail use pursuant to Bellflower Municipal Code Section 3.37.100. As brief background, the City Council took action on September 28, 2020 in order to remain competitive with nearby cities and to provide better business opportunities for the current cannabis business permittees in Bellflower. This action included temporarily reducing the city's cannabis tax rate for manufacturing from 7.5% to 2%, and temporarily reducing the city's cannabis tax rate for distribution from 7.5% to 1%. So consistent with that action, staff is recommending that the City Council also consider temporarily suspending a portion of the city's scheduled cannabis tax rate increase for the dispensary and retail use effective July 1, 2021. The tax rate is scheduled to increase from 7.5% to 10%, and staff is recommending to increase the tax rate from 7.5% to 8.5%. So this next slide has the city's current cannabis tax rates, and as previously mentioned, the city's current dispensary and retail tax rate is 7.5%. And then this next table shows the cannabis tax rates in other cities, and you will notice that out of the 10 cities surveyed here, 7 have dispensary and retail tax rates under 10%, and then you'll see Long Beach there has 8%. So at the 8.5% cannabis tax rate, the dispensary and retail businesses are expected to generate approximately $2.6 million per year in tax revenues. And then each 1% of cannabis tax for the dispensary and retail use is approximately $300,000 per year. And as you are aware, there are currently 12 cannabis business permits that have been issued. And out of these 12 permits, 4 of them are for the dispensary and retail use. So pursuant to Bellflower Municipal Code Section 3.37.100, the City Council may suspend or reduce the cannabis tax rates after a public hearing, which we are having tonight. So therefore, our recommendation is to open the public hearing, take testimonial and documentary evidence, and after considering the evidence, adopt Resolution Number 21-35, a resolution temporarily suspending a portion of the scheduled cannabis tax rate increase effective July 1, 2021 for the dispensary and retail use. And then this resolution also allows the City Council to increase the cannabis tax rate to the maximum allowed under the Bellflower Municipal Code, Chapter 3.37 at any time. Or alternatively discuss and take other action related to this item. So that completes our presentation tonight. Staff is available for any questions.
Thank you for the report, Travis. Mayor Pro Tem Ray Dunton, any questions of staff?
No questions of staff. Thank you.
All right. Councilmember Victor Sanchez, any questions of staff?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No questions of staff at this time. Thank you.
Councilmember Raymond Hamada, questions of staff?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And first off, Travis, thank you for the detailed report. I believe my questions have been answered. Thank you.
Councilmember Sonny Santinez, any questions of staff?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Mr. Sides, can you show that comparison of the tax rates
Sure.
among different cities? I'm just curious to know on this chart, it shows that the city of Carson is collecting 18% taxes on, let's say, a dispensary. Do you have information in terms of how does this rate impact their sales? Because it looks like they're an outlier. I mean, it's out of the much higher than the rest of the area here. Long Beach, Maywood, Santa Ana, 18%, for example, versus 8% in Long Beach. So my question is, how does it affect their sales?
I don't have that information, but that's something we can definitely look into and bring back.
Okay, or maybe we can ask some of the operators tonight if they're chiming in. All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Santinez. So at this time, we would entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
Move we open the public hearing.
Second.
Okay.
All right, so we've got a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Ray Dutton, supported by, I believe it was Mr. Hamada. And without objection, that'll be the order. Madam City Clerk, is there anyone that would like to give testimony on this item?
Mayor, I'll give the public a moment to utilize the feature.
Where's the feature? Where?
Can you please identify yourself?
Can you guys hear me?
Is this Elliot
Yes.
Lewis?
Yeah, there, I'm in there. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, allow me one moment to get the timer up on the screen. Okay, you may begin.
Yeah, just wanted to say a few things on the tax issue. Number one, to answer Sonny's question, which I think is an important one. The revenue in Carson cannabis is zero. Let me repeat that, zero. Carson does no revenue because their taxes are prohibitive. I'm not sure you got the numbers right in Santa Ana. I'm about 90% sure the tax rate there is 6. I know everybody likes to tax cannabis businesses because we're an easy target and everybody thinks we bleed money, but we're the most taxed businesses throughout the state. I would ask for fair taxes across all businesses and hope that the city council, if there was a need for revenue, could look in other places. I was really proud to be a supporter of the city tax that was initiated in Bellflower, the sales tax increase. So that ultimately passed. Although obviously this issue has nothing to do with that, we are a proud supporter of that, and we're hoping that Bellflower saw initial revenue inflows from the passage of the increase in sales tax that happened in the last election cycle. In addition to that, I would also like to add that although there were some cities that were mentioned in the chart, there's about 12 to 15 that I'm personally aware of that aren't open yet that will all have tax rates around 5. I think the industry taxes are trending down. I think the state is coming to realize that there's other businesses such as big oil and other industries that are paying substantially less tax rates than cannabis that have substantially higher impacts on the environment. My argument would be to keep, my position would be to keep tax rates the same. I think we're dropping off, I don't know, 300 grand every quarter-ish to the city of Bellflower. We were happy to do it. We understand that it's a public-private, I don't want to say we're happy to do it, but we do it, and we understand that it's a privilege to have the license. And, look, we're trying to pass these prices on to the consumer. Ultimately, if you raise the tax rates, you're just punishing the consumer. And I do think, as you see other markets open that aren't on your chart, you'll see that generally tax rates are coming down. Los Angeles is considering lowering their tax rate as well. And there's some initial rumblings in Long Beach. So we're happy at the 7.5%. I don't want to say happy, but we could still, turn a profit. But I think to continue on this line of slowly, just beating up on cannabis businesses for whatever negative perceptions you may have about us is not fair. I think there's other potential sources for revenue if you need them. And quite frankly, tomorrow is the end of COVID restrictions, and we're hoping that a lot more businesses will come online, and the city will be able to recover taxes through their normal avenues, sales tax and whatnot, as these businesses.
All right, Elliot, your time's up, and I appreciate what you had to say, and we'll take it under consideration. Madam City Clerk, ready for the next contestant.
Mayor, I'll give the public a couple more moments to utilize the feature. I'm not seeing any further raised hands at this time, Mayor.
Thank you. So I'm looking for a motion to close the public hearing.
Mr. Mayor, before you close the public hearing.
Oh, yeah,
can
do
I
you want
ask
to question anything of Mr. Elliott?
Yeah, just one quick question without the timer anyway. Just one quick question.
Go for it.
Mr. Lewis.
Mr. Elliott.
Yes, sir. I'm barely competent in Zoom. I'm only good at selling cannabis. I apologize.
I will not set the timer anymore. Just one quick question. On average, what's the average purchase per customer?
In the city of Bellflower, the average purchase with taxes included ranges around $75. And that purchase, if you track it all the way through, not just municipal tax, has approximately, you're starting to push $25, $27 in tax. And remember that we have UFC union jobs. We are putting in a nice starting raise.
Mr. Lewis. Just one quick question. Okay, you answered my question. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, now I'll look for a motion to close the public hearing.
Move we close the public hearing.
Second.
All right, so the motion by Mayor Pro Tem Ray Dutton to close the public hearing, supported by Councilmember Raymond Hamada. Without objection, that'll be the order. All right, discussion among ourselves. Sunny, let's start with you. You're still at the microphone there. What do you think? Shall we do what staff suggested or what Mr. Elliott would like to leave it at 7.5? We're suggesting by staff to go to 8.5. What do you think?
Well, we have several options here, Mr. Mayor. One is, according to the schedule, it would be 10%.
Yes.
If we allow it to happen. The next option is to listen to Mr. Lewis and keep it 7.5%. The third option is to raise it to 8.5%. That's why I asked Mr. Lewis in terms of the average sales per customer, and he said $75. So right now we're just looking at a difference of 1% between his recommendation and the staff recommendation of 1%. And if you extrapolate $75 average purchase, 1% of that is 75 cents. I don't think that a purchaser, a buyer, will hesitate paying 75 cents more in Bellflower rather than drive all the way to Long Beach, because 75 cents using the IRS mileage code, it are only about one and a half miles. If it's round trip, that's 0.75 miles. So I would, at this point, I would agree with the staff recommendation. Let's not make it cost prohibitive for our customers to go to Long Beach, because it's all about competition. And I know that when I asked Mr. Lewis about Carson or Mr. Sykes, and Mr. Lewis responded to my question about 18%, there's no sales. And he confirmed that there's no sales in Carson because it is very cost prohibitive to even purchase cannabis in Carson. So my thought is agree with the recommendation of the staff at 8.5%. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Sunny Inez. Mayor Pro Tem Ray Dutton. I skipped over you because Mr. Sunny Inez was still hot on the topic.
That's all right.
But anyway, what do you hear what we've got? We've got 7.5, 8.5, or 10, or anything else you might think is appropriate.
Being in retail and being a business, competition is good. With Long Beach at our south border, most of the town, I think the 8.5% is fine. I don't think it's out of line. And for the time being, I would go with 8.5%.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Dutton. Mr. Victor Sanchez, your viewpoint on this.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I kind of, Councilmember Sunny Inez being our math person and our math whiz, he makes a great point. My understanding, even from when I was on the other side of the dais, when this all started back in 2017, it's a big learning curve. And what we did, well, not we, because I wasn't on council then, but in September of last year, when the tax rate was dropped, was to kind of facilitate and assist through COVID. Makes perfect sense. I think now that we're reassessing it and looking at it, coming to a 10% and competing with Long Beach, to me, it makes no sense either, which I think Councilmember Santinez and Mayor Pro Tem Dutton have touched on. You have three options, and I think that an 8.5 is reasonable. I think that an 8.5 for those 75 cents, a customer is not going to, drive all the way to Long Beach. It's going to cost them more in gas, more in time. And so with that, I think an 8.5 is a reasonable rate to be at. If in the future, the trend that Mr. Lewis mentions, which is tax rates going down in the cannabis industry, is happening, and that becomes an issue for us to compete with Long Beach, then we can, I believe that we can reassess that then. But that's my comments, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sanchez. Councilmember Raymond Hamada, your viewpoint.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm pretty much going to echo the comments from my colleagues. That's pretty much where I'm at. Competition was on the table from the very beginning, and it looks like our proposed rate of 8.5 is in that somewhat middle group, which that's how that could be a strategy to at least make it attractive to consumers, and still get a a good return. Again, under Measure B and what the council has approved, we could go up to 10%, but I think as we come out of COVID, I don't think to go to that cap would be appropriate. I think it's fair to do some incremental increase. The added 1%, again, as the math has been declared, it's not a whole lot, and we've seen that in other cases that have been presented to this community. And I mean, for me, this was all about control, to control these so that we don't have the illegal establishments. So things are working out for this industry, and I think it is still appropriate to increase it again, this small amount, and stay competitive with our so-called largest competitor, which would be Long Beach. So I'm good at 8.5%. Thank you,
right.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Hamada. So I am agreeing with all four of us. The fifth vote here, I would stay with the 8.5. So at this point, looking for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for the City Council of Bellflower to adopt Resolution 21-35, the resolution temporarily suspending a portion of the scheduled cannabis tax rate increase effective July 1st, 2021 for the dispensary and retail use pursuant to Bellflower Municipal Code, Section 3.37.100.
I will second it.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Sunny Sanyanez, supported by Councilman Raymond Hamada. Please poll the council.
Councilmember Hamada,
Aye.
Councilmember Sanchez,
Aye.
Councilmember Santinas,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Dutton,
Aye.
Mayor Coops.
Aye. Motion passes. Consideration item 11A, Mr. Stewart.
This is consideration possible action to adopt resolution number 21-40, a resolution ratifying certain actions completed by the city manager and extending the existence of the local emergency. But more importantly, this is an item mainly that shows us the path to reopening City Hall, if everything goes according to Hoyle with the governor today and tomorrow. And I'll let Mr. Seitz make that presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. So this is just going over emergency protocol and policies. So this is for, like Mr. Stewart mentioned, for reopening City Hall. And what this does is this allows for the public to have access to City Hall without an appointment. So we would get rid of the security guard at the front, but we would still provide social distancing or physical distancing stickers that would direct the public and folks coming into City Hall just into the front counter. So we would have just everything with mask would still be required, and we would also have, like I said, just the social distancing stickers on the floor. So this is something that for the city council as well, we would also have the council chambers back. So we would have city council at City Hall here and in the chambers, each of the council members, but no members in the public. So this emergency policy and procedure is the 10th one, and this would be effective June 21st, 2021.
Thank you for the report. All right, Mayor Pro Tem Ray Dutton, staff report questions?
No questions other than the county did a 11th hour of ditching all their rules and aligning with the state. Does that change anything for us?
No, I don't believe it would change anything, especially for these procedures that we'd be putting in place.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Dutton. Councilmember Raymond Hamada, questions of staff.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just one quick one. So looking at the attachment, which would be effective June 21st, does that mean council will be back in the chambers? Just us?
Correct. Yeah, the council would be back in the chambers.
All right, good news. All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Hamada. Councilmember Victor Sanchez, Any comments or questions of staff?
Not at this time, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Councilmember Sunny San Ynez, questions or of staff?
Just a comment, Mr. Mayor, and I'd like to take this opportunity to again thank our city manager, Jeff Stewart, and all his staff for taking the necessary precaution, all the necessary protocols to keep the employees safe and the public safe. So we could not be more safer than the actions that they've taken in the past. So we're moving forward, and I'm very pleased with the actions that they've taken. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. San Ynez. Madam City Clerk, if there's anybody that would like to offer testimony, we're prepared to receive it now.
Mayor, I'll give the public a moment to utilize the feature. Mayor, I'm not seeing any raised hands at this time.
Thank you. So looking for a motion for this item.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd be happy to make a motion to adopt Resolution 21-40.
Second.
So we have a motion by Councilmember Raymond Hamada, supported by Councilmember Victor Sanchez. Please poll the council.
Councilmember Hamada,
Aye.
Councilmember Sanchez,
Aye.
Councilmember Santinas,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Dutton.
Aye.
Mayor Coops.
Aye. We're now at the 12A through 12D consent calendar. Does anyone have any conflicts or of this evening's closed session items? Or are there any council members that would like to pull an item for separate discussion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I must recuse myself from 12L. 12L, I was so advised by the city clerk and the city attorney.
Duly noted. Anyone else have anything they want to pull or be conflicted out on?
Yeah, Mayor, I'm going to recuse myself from item 12J, a property conflict.
All right, it was noted. Anybody else have any conflicts on the consent calendar?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to pull item 12C just for a comment.
12C for Mr. San Ynez. And I also have a 12K. I am conflicted out of that item because I have property within the Cedar Street zone. So I'm out on 12K. Councilmember Hamada is out on 12L. And Mayor Pro Tem Ray Dutton is out on 12J. And does anyone else have anything they'd like to pull for other discussion? All right, Sonny, it sounds like you got the floor, 12C.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to take this opportunity again to thank our staff for working through this budget process. And as I recall, I've been to the budget process now for about 4 times already. And I remember the first budget that I went through. I mean, the word was cut, cut, cut. And this time it's quite different. And that's because of the work that staff put in, very disciplined approach, fiscally responsible, so that we can prepare for the future, and the future is now. So I really want to thank staff again for taking those actions in the past, and those actions, although they really hurt at the time, we've come a long way, and it's helping us now, and it will help us into the future. So let's continue with this approach. Very prudent approach in terms of our budgeting, and Bellflower will be much better off going forward. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. San Ynez. I wholeheartedly support what you said because you and I both have been budget cuts, and it's not nearly as it's very difficult. So if no one else has anything else on pulling or recusal, is there a motion to approve the action stipulated in the consent calendar?
Move the consent, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion by Councilman Sunny San Ynez, supported by Councilman Victor Sanchez. Please poll the council.
Councilmember Hamada,
Aye.
Councilmember Sanchez,
Aye.
Councilmember Santinas,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Dutton,
Aye.
Mayor Coops.
Aye. Council comments. Mayor Pro Tem Ray Dutton, have you anything you want to offer this evening?
No, I don't have anything tonight. Thank you.
Councilmember Sonny San Ynez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple of things. On a happy note, I'm very pleased to announce that I joined in the presentation of a check to one of our local businesses, Soul's Lifeline TNT, located at 15928 Clark Avenue. They were granted very close to $10,000. I think it's just short of $1.88. So I call it $10,000. And the funds were provided by the Southeast Los Angeles County Workforce Development to the Small Business Revitalization Fund. So congratulations to Lifeline TNT. And on a very sad note, I request that tonight's meeting be adjourned in memory of Howard Chambers, the former city manager of the city of Lakewood. If I may, Mr. Mayor, Howard Lee Chambers, former Lakewood city manager, passed away from cancer on June 9, 2021 at the age of 76. Howard was born in December 1944 in Lakewood, a decade before the town incorporated. He attended California State University, Long Beach, receiving a bachelor's degree in 1967. He went on to earn a master's degree in planning and administration from Pepperdine University in 1976, and a master's in public administration from USC in 1981. Howard is considered to be the longest serving city manager of a single city in California, serving the city of Lakewood for 41 years. He was a chief operating manager for approximately 60% of Lakewood's history as an official city, having incorporated in 1954. By the time he retired 4 years ago, 2017, his career in Lakewood spanned more than 50 years. He spent his spare time volunteering with the Rotary Club of Lakewood, the American Heart Association, and the Lakewood Youth Hall of Fame. The Lakewood City Council named him a Legend of Lakewood in 2020. Howard survived by his wife, Mary, brother Jim, a son, 2 daughters, and a granddaughter. I would say that Howard's influence not only was limited to the city of Lakewood, so the cities around the area benefited from his skills and his passion in serving in public service. So he will be missed. Our deepest sympathies and heartfelt condolences go out to the entire Chambers family. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. San Ynez. Councilmember Victor Sanchez, council comments.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple comments. Just want to say how thankful I am to see things kind of opening back up with even the car show and street fest, and I just want to ask our community to be patient with us. I know that with Street Fest alone, there are some goals to continue to open that up even further, but we're going to open up and ease our way out of COVID. And so just want to say, either way, glad to see it happening. And I'm just, I want to say that I think tonight we approved a very, very good budget in the sense of towards public safety. And so I'm just proud of that. And then I see all the work that the former councils have put together to be in this position where we're not having to do budget cuts. Instead, we're able to increase public safety. And so I just want to thank the previous councils before myself serving on here for all the hard work and dedication, and from you guys and from staff to make that possible, to be able to put several measures in this budget that will help us from a public safety standpoint. So just want to end with that. And again, thank all staff for all the hard work that they're doing. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Sanchez. Councilmember Raymond Hamada, your council comments, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Last month on the 25th, Councilman Sanchez and I went to Mayfair High School to recognize the Mayfair golf teams, both the boys and the girls. And they again worked hard this year. I believe they advanced to further competitive play, and they worked really hard because they couldn't play on golf courses, and they had to practice on at the school. So it was duly received by the coach and the teams, and also wanted to give a little shout out to the Family Lions Club, which also presented them recognition. Last month on the 26th, I'm now I'm now part of the Contract Cities Legislative Committee, and a couple of bills that are out there right now, to AB 1401 and SB 9, are really troublesome as it comes down for cities. It's all part of that losing local control, and so I'm aware that staff is preparing letters of opposition for both those bills, and we'll hopefully see those turned down up in Sacramento. On the 3rd this month, I attended the SCAG Transportation Committee, and there was an interesting discussion on Edison's financial support of charging stations. So we'll look for some more information there, and that may be a benefit, definitely for the community. At the RC meeting, some points to highlight. Randall Lewis, who's the designated we'll call it economist for SCAG, he believes happy days are here again. And he was telling us that for every 2 minutes, the price of your house goes up $1, or the value. So he used that, and he also pointed out that he believes that manufacturing is on the comeback, and which will provide a lot of opportunities for communities. At the Contract Executive Board meeting, we are starting to plan the conference in September, and that's going to be in person, and hopefully we can look forward to that. On the 4th, I attended the League of California Cities, governance, transparency, and labor relations meeting, and there was a very good discussion on the assets liability management, also known as dealing with the discount rate. So at the end of the meeting, and we usually meet upwards to about 3 hours, we voted to oppose any change of the discount rate. This last Tuesday, I went to the SCAG, or I again got on Zoom, of course, to the SCAG demographic workshop, and they were able to do a broad overview of how everything's going, again, how the region is changing from a population standpoint, and we were able to break out in some sessions. I attended the census. Hopefully, we'll be getting the data here in the hopefully near future. They did say some estimates are out, and I was trying to look for those, and I couldn't confirm exactly what they believe is a rough estimate for the 2020 census for Bellflower. But we did have a very good response rate when we did it online. It was nearly 73%. I think that's a record, I heard, and hopefully it's easy. It'll be easy to take care of that remaining 27% to get our final numbers. So it was been a busy last 3 weeks, but it was very good in information for the city. All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Amata. So let me conclude by, as the mayor explained to the city, how grateful we all are for you as citizens to get through this COVID together. Tomorrow's a big day for everyone in the area when we reopen many of the things that have been closed for a long time and resume some natural flow of things as the banks open longer hours and the city hall is working on opening up. And it's been a long time in coming. we can't help but reflect back to those that have passed away during the last 12 to 14 months, people that you just knew all your life and thought they would be around for a long time are suddenly gone. And not only gone, but we had no real chance to say goodbye to them because there was no memorial services or funerals to go to have some closure. And on the other positive side, weddings are all shut down, so I can see where that positive influence is going to come back as couples want to get married because they've been putting that aside for the last year and a half. But all of us are encouraged by the fact that we've come this far and that the virus seems to be on the downward trend to the point where we aren't going to infect each other. We still need to be cautious, but I think that the worst is behind us, and if we're careful and diligent on how we conduct ourselves, we won't have to face this again. And I like to think that if there's some sort of a virus or something in another country, that anything like we've had in the past, that they react to it quicker than they did in the past to this one. But I just want to be mindful of the fact that many of us have gone through a lot during this last year and a half, economically, financially, psychologically. I mean, schools being closed, not having children in school, requiring their mothers and parents to be home to watch them and educate them online. I mean, it's just been a lot of transition. But hopefully we'll have our schools open in the fall after a summer break, and we'll resume some normalcy in that regard as well. So with that, I'd like to adjourn this meeting tonight at 7:55 in the evening, and our next meeting will be at 5:30 p.m. on Monday, June 28th, 2021. We're adjourned.